Alrighty, hey guys, so I'm back with another video today. So this is something that I've had on my little to-do sheet for like the last month or so, and that is the what happened during Charmed. Basically all the tea that the fans did not know about the show. Now I personally love Charmed. I started watching it in 2006, just when I was going off air, but this was during like 2006, it was about to go off air, but the reruns were like a season behind. So when season 8 was ending, season 6 was really right about to end, and it's going into season 7. So it was very just confusing. I didn't even know there was a season 8 until I saw the box set like a year later in like '07. So I was like, okay, let me go see this. But with the return of the with the reboot happening, I'm gonna do parentheses on it because we all know how we feel about that. It made me just like be aware of a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that I did not know about. Shout out to Movie Night. I'm gonna link her channel below. She goes through a whole rundown of all 8 seasons, even pointing out the stuff that we kind of ignored during Charm but didn't realize till like later when we were older. Honestly, her videos are hilarious. I'm gonna link to her channel below, and maybe even also link the playlist of it. She has a whole playlist. She even goes through the comics. It's really awesome. Okay, I'm going to go through season by season over what kind of tea went down on Charmed, so sit down, get some popcorn. It's going to be kind of a long video. Alright, so season 1, I'm just going to state the obvious. If you're a real Charmed fan, like an OG, you know about the unaired pilot that they did, where Lori Rom was supposed to play Stevie instead of Alyssa Milano. The reason for that is because she actually pulled out of the project last minute, and they had the reshoot, and Alyssa Milano was casted because she was like second on the list. Honestly, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because Lauren Rome didn't really fit the character all that well. But anyway, we digress. The second thing from like season 1 would probably be Ted King's exit from the show. If you remember him, he played Andy Trudeau. The reasons behind that are like with 2 different things. The main thing people are going with is that he and Alyssa Milano hated each other. Not Alyssa Milano, Shannen Doherty. I don't know why I'm getting my people confused. Shannen Doherty and Ted King did not get along. Shannen wanted him off the show, so they fired him. There's another story where it's like he asked for more scenes on the show since he's kind of like considered a main character, kind of. I don't know. The Shannen Doherty feud story is something people are going with, have gone with, and that's kind of the one that we're running with. And that's basically, kind of a couple of feuds. It's also said that the beginning of Shannen Doherty and Alyssa Milano's tension started in this season, but it honestly started probably beginning season 3. Season 2. So the only thing aware of season 2 was that the characters that played Dan and Jenny were cut due to the unnecessary storylines. The girl that played Jenny was put as the main character in the first 4 episodes, and then she just disappeared. That's because the writers honestly had a storyline set up for her, however they never used it. I feel like they are trying to do like possibly the Billy storyline where they're kind of teaching her about the craft. Maybe she learns that she's a witch and they're kind of like teaching her at this point, but they never used it. They cut the character, Dan's character, because really he was kind of like the unusable one because he was just brought in as a love interest for Piper. However, it would have been better if he was a love interest for Phoebe at that time, because it's just like, it just comes in the Leo and Piper love arc, and we already know Leo and Piper are Endgame, so yeah, this is basically the tea from season 2. It's the tea in season 3 and then after where things get complicated. So season 3, apparently everybody was hooking up. I did not know this. The combinations never really hit me until then. Apparently, Shannen Doherty was dating Julian Mamhone. I don't remember how to say his last name, but she was dating Cole, basically. Meanwhile, Alyssa Milano was dating Brian Krause. I think this is when Han Marie Cohn was dating the PA guy on the show that was her first husband. Y'all, I didn't know everybody was hooking up. It was crazy. Also, season 3 is when the feuding between Alyssa Milano and Shannen Doherty came to head, and we already know how that ended, guys. Whew. So season 4 had about a good bit of a little bit of drama to it. As you already know, at this point, Shannen Doherty's left the show. The 2 main things that have been like kind of the reason for it was that A, her and Alyssa Milano were feuding and she quit, or B, Alyssa Milano gave the executive producers an ultimatum, either her or Doherty, and they fired her. The main thing that's been fun around is that it was the feud, and even Alyssa Milano confirmed this, as well as Shannen Doherty in earlier interviews this year, a couple of years ago. And not really surprised. Also, Rose McGowan also said in interviews that basically she felt kind of like bullied by like people when she got onto the show. Mainly by the fans, basically. And y'all know how fans are, especially right now. Fans who are like dedicated to the OG characters. Like any fan that would be Star Wars or Vampire Diaries or Twilight, like they are vicious. And I cannot imagine if this show came out like 10 years earlier in like 2008, and then the whole drama with Charm went down in 2011, right when social media was coming up with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I'm just like, that would have been brutal. So with season 5, this is where the kind of shift happens. Coffin and Burge, which was one of the executive producers of the show, and one of the writers, actually left the show after this point. She was the writer for the first 3 seasons, and then she moved that responsibility over to Brian Kern and stayed on as executive producer for season 4, but she left the show due to creative differences, which is totally understandable because there was a huge shift in Charmed after the 4th season, kind of. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm about to burp. Woo! But yeah, you can see the shift that happened there. Also, Julian Mahone, I cannot remember his name, guys, I'm so sorry. He left the show due to scheduling conflicts. I remember, I think he was doing Nip Tuck at the time, or he was about to be on a new show. So that was probably why they had to kill him off the second time. I think they kept him because they wanted the fans to stay on because they saw the dip in ratings. But I can see him probably leaving because there were rumors of a feud with Alyssa Milano. I don't know what is up with Alyssa Milano. I really don't know. There was feuding happening, scheduling conflicts. The writers couldn't just really didn't know how to do a storyline at that point, so they had to axe him from season 5 midway. Alright, so season 6. Season 6 is kind of a divisive season with people. A lot of season 6 were half of gimmick episodes. We had Magic School, we had the Genie changing arc, we had the sisters trying to take over the manor. It was just a lot of stuff going down. One thing that was, kind of a thing that people didn't notice was the budget cuts. The reason why is that Phoebe's powers were actually taken away because they couldn't afford the stunts anymore. They couldn't afford her levitating. They, couldn't, basically come up with a better plot line for her empathy power. They had to get some money for the flashbacks episode when they were on trial. And it's just, a lot of budget cuts happened with the show. The show got a lot of budget cuts more as the season progressed. Also, the Chris storyline, there was a rumor that it was originally supposed to be, that Chris was originally supposed to be Phoebe and Cole's son who survived and wanted revenge on his mom. But they decided to work in midway through the season because Holly Marie Combs was pregnant. They were going to be like, oh, this is Leo and Piper's son from the future. Looking at the two, I would have liked him to be Phoebe and Cole's son. That would have been an interesting storyline at best. Alright, season 7. There isn't really a lot. The main thing with season 7 is that the season 7 finale was supposed to be the series finale because they had no idea if they were going to come back for another season with the WB and CW merger. They filmed the last episode as the season finale, so that whole thing where it felt like final, that was supposed to be the finale until probably right before it aired after they finished filming, starting to tear down the sets that, hey, we got a season 8 renewal. And, whew, man, that was just a mess. Also, Julian's cameo in the 150th episode, it was cut short due to the feuding of Alyssa Milano before it aired. They had to cut some of his stuff, and he only filmed the scenes of Holly Marie Combs, so that was a complicated mess. And a lot of fans are like, well, Cole really served no purpose in this episode, and this whole devised plan of him renewing Phoebe's faith and love was kind of why? It was just a really unnecessary cameo. Alright, season 8. Season 8 is pretty much the worst season of the show. You ask any Charm fan, that was probably the worst season. First off, season 8 was never supposed to happen because the WB got switched to the CW, and the CW wanted to keep the flagship shows to bring on the viewers to the new channel to get into their other shows. Now, a lot of their shows, you know, some shows stayed and then shows were canceled after a while. I know One Tree Hill had already started running at that time. Veronica Mars was still a thing. Gossip Girl was like in pre-production, and this was right before Vampire Diaries and the originals came in. When you look at it, you kind of wish Charmed stayed because they could have just eased on into like the Vampire Diaries and originals, you know, arc, because the Twilight phase was coming up and they were coming in, so they basically stabbed themselves in the foot, basically, with that. They got more cuts into their budget, meaning they had to cut some characters. They cut out Daryl's character and moved him to the East Coast. They only used Leo for half a season because his budget for him was cut. They also added on unnecessary characters like Billy, even though I love Haley Cuoco, okay? They added Billy in, which was unnecessary. They added in Coop the last like 6 or 8 episodes. How many episodes did we get him in? We got him in the wedding episode. We got him 4 or 5. We had 7 episodes to get to know this dude before he was Phoebe's husband. So it was really just stuff to wrap up. They wrapped up so much in just one season. It just really didn't make sense a lot. So yeah, unnecessary characters. They lost the rights to their theme song, so that's why season 8 and all the Netflix seasons have a different theme song than what it did with the last couple of seasons. The only season, I think with the original one, it was in the first 7 box sets. I remember because I had the first 2 seasons on box set, but I lost them because it was stolen from me. I had season 6 and season 7 and season 8 on the box set, and I noticed that the theme song changed, and I didn't realize it until I was like, wow, I guess they changed the song for some reason, but they actually lost the rights to the song because they thought they were going to end at 7. So yeah, thanks a lot, WB and CW. So yeah, and kind of like the little bit of drama after Charmed was the reboots that happened that no one wanted. Basically, CW wanted to capitalize on it. They wanted to bring it back. They were shopping it around for years until CW picked it up. One of the Jane the Virgin writers went on there to do the project. A lot of drama was happening because of the synopsis of it all. The fans are still pissed off. It's currently running on CW right now. I think it's about to air its I think it's going to air its 4th episode tonight. I'm not watching it. After the first episode, I was like, I can't watch it. And then season 2, episode 2, I tried, but I was like, this ain't going to work. It's looking to get canceled after its first season, probably in February when the cancellations start. So hopefully we'll get that, you know, through and done. It has a 22 episode order, so we have to deal with it until May or April. So yeah, that's my little video over what happened behind Charmed. So I hope you guys like it. Let me know if you want me to do a follow-up video. I'm working on a follow-up video right now about like what the problems with Charmed kind of. I have a whole list of like character and like storylines and all that. Let me know in the comments if you want to watch that one. Anyway, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and it's your girl. Peace out. For love. Have a great week. Bye.